Okay, everyone, welcome. My name is Julia Gurney. I am the Associate Director of Visits and Events in the Office of Admissions, and welcome to Experience USM, Visual and Performing Arts. Here to learn a little bit more about our School of Music and Department of Theater here today. Just to explain how things work, how things are going to be going with the platform that you're in. You are using Zoom webinar, so we can neither see nor hear you today, but the way that you best communicate with us is through that Q&A box. We're really looking forward to learning a little bit more about these two awesome programs here at the University of Southern Maine. We're going to start with theater first, and then jump into School of Music, and then open it up to questions that you may have about these particular programs. So welcome, relax, enjoy, and without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our Department of Theater faculty.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Janice Gardner, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the USM Department of Theater. And there's several of us here today from the Theater Department. We have Saif, Rachel, and Anna, who all represent different areas of focus in the program. And we'll be hearing a little bit from each of them, but we'll be talking in general about the theater major, the different tracks you can pursue within the major, some of the classes and the performance opportunities that are open to our students, the external experience, and then we'll wrap up with a really quick tour of our facilities and hear from some of the people in our program. So the theater major at USM offers a broad education in all elements of the theater, from performance, movement, scene study, to design, including lighting and scenic design and costuming, the history and literature, including playwriting and directing, and so much more. And we're also really proud to offer a pretty new dance minor. Every year we produce about 4 shows. This year's a little bit different, of course, but in general we produce 4 shows, and those range from classic to contemporary works, musicals, dance concerts, and operas. We currently have about 50 students in the major with just about as many minors. We're really proud to offer a tight-knit community of our students with lots of individualized support and guidance from our faculty. We really like to get to know our students and offer them a strong foundation in theater based on their interests. We're also really fortunate to be surrounded by a vibrant theater scene in the greater Portland area, and love to connect our students with these area theaters. We also support PAW, which is Performers at Work, which is a student-run group that produces a show each semester, and it gives students, whether or not they're theater majors or not, it gives them an opportunity to learn hands-on theater skills. And we have a non-competitive audition process, which is a chance for each person interested in the program to connect with our faculty, to visit either in person or virtually our facilities, share an audition piece, and basically just get to know one another. So if that's something that you're interested in, you are welcome to sign up on our website. So that's a very broad overview of our program. I'd like to hand it over to Saif to talk in a little bit more detail about some of the things that we offer.
Yes, my name is Saif Solano Cristobal. I'm the Assistant Professor of Lighting Design, but I also focus on projection design within the design and tech track in our program. As Janice mentioned, our production year, we typically do about 4 shows a year in some combination, also in conjunction with the School of Music. Typically, it is 2 shows per semester, and students get an opportunity while taking our theater workshop course to actually participate in all aspects of these productions, whether it is performing, whether it is working backstage, assisting designers, or working as designers, and then dramaturgically assistant directing as well. We also have a unique course, a unique program, which we call our external experience, which allows students to put themselves into a professional situation, into a professional company, typically working during your summer between your junior year and your senior year, working with a professional company, trying the industry and seeing if this is what you want to do And as faculty, we work to help you find what it is that works with you, what works for your interests, whether it fits in with what you want to do. We have experience from around the country and connections from around the country, and we do the best we can to help place you in what it is that interests you. And then I'm going to hand it over to Anna. She's going to talk a little bit more about some of the design offerings that we have.
Hello, my name is Anna Grywalski, and I am the costume director at USM. So I teach classes in costume design, theatrical makeup, and a costume practicum. So actually all three of our main design areas, scenic, lighting, and costume, have a costume practicum class. And what that means is it's actual hands-on experience working in the shops, helping build our productions. So all theater majors are required to take those courses, but what's really great about them is you get to learn skills. You get to learn basic sewing skills. You get to learn introduction to costume construction. And if you wind up finding yourself really interested in those areas, there are further opportunities to work either for work study in the shop or as part of your production assignment. You can choose to spend hours working in one of the shops where you get really great hands-on experience and further education working to build those shows. So we have great opportunities for everyone to join in and work together to eventually create beautiful productions. And let's see, Rachel, are you up next?
Yeah, hi, my name is Rachel Price Cooper, and I teach courses in cultural history of theater, dramatic analysis, and some upper level electives in dramaturgy, as well as directing. And the required component where each theater major is required to take cultural history of theater and then 2 sections of dramatic, lit, and history is really intended to give you guys, or to give theater students an appreciation of theater as a historically positioned academic discipline, but also to empower you as researchers of any aspect of theater. So whether you come to theater as a designer, as a scholar, as an actor, as a director, having a solid set of research skills and also just a general understanding of historical contexts and cultural components that help to shape theater and are shaped by theater. That's really important to us as a department as well. So, yeah.
Thank you, everybody. We have a little video that we'd like to share that just gives you a really basic tour of our facilities. We, of course, had to do it in a safe way using masks, so it can be a little hard to hear at times, but you'll also get to hear some of the voices of some of our students, our recent students, and a few pictures and videos from current productions. So I'm gonna hand it back over to Saif, who's gonna press all the right switches for the video.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Gibson. I'm a senior theater major, performance track, and I'm going to be giving you a tour of Russell Hall, our theater. this here is our lobby, and this is where the patrons will come in right before the show, and if you come for classes, you'll come right through this way. Let's go into the theater. This here is our main stage. This is where all of our shows take place. We do about 4 shows a year. This includes plays, musicals, dance shows, operas, and theater showcases.
If anyone is thinking about joining USM Theater, my advice would be to just try it. Come on in, join a production, and sort of stick your foot in. It's a group that's full of camaraderie and support and creativity. We work long hours. We are super dramatic, emotional, fun, silly people, and we really enjoy doing what we do. We are in it for an experience of a lifetime.
Down here in this hallway, we have our USM Theater box office. This is where tickets are sold and purchased. And down here, we also have posters from previous shows and costumes made by our awesome Anna. Let's take a look at where the sets are made. This here is our lovely scene shop, and this is where all of our sets are built, all of our props are created. Right here up top is our props loft, and we have many props from years and years of theater performances. And this is where we also hold a couple of our classes.
Being a theater major is so different because people hang out, you know, you see people around. It's not like you got one class with someone and then you don't see them again until next week. They're always around. Having all of these familiar faces that you get to see all the time, every day, lets us as peers form better relationships, better friendships, better forms of communication.
And now I'm going to be showing you guys the light booth and the sound booth. Now up here is where lighting students come up to do rig lights and work the show, and this is where the stage manager also calls the show. And here is our light booth, and right here is the podium which our stage manager calls the show. From right up here, it's the best seat in the house. And in here is our sound booth, where all sound and projections happen.
This is a major where you get to be around people for, you know, you're sometimes around them for 12, 14 hours a day. And you see them for, you know, 4 years, 5 years. And it's an experience that, especially as a theater professional, you don't get on the outside world. I really valued that time that I got to spend just in it with the same group of people, learning and growing every day.
Down here we have the work of our wonderful Janice Gardner, who put up many posters in all our shows in the past 50 years or so. And they're all covering these walls down the hallway. And down here we have some of the faculty offices, and we have the classroom and also the green room. But I'm going to take you into the Black Box Theater. This is our Black Box Theater. This is where our student performing artists, or PAW, present their shows, 10-minute play festivals, 24-hour play festivals down here in this space. Classes also take place in this space, including acting, directing, and also some design classes. And let's go into the makeup room. So a lot of mirrors in this room. What this room is used for is this is our dressing room / makeup room for actors getting ready for shows. There also is a makeup class that is done in this area, and the dressing rooms are right to my left right here.
You make great friends. You will always get great resources out of your teachers, out of your peers, out of these outside resources that they pull in. These teachers aren't just your teachers either. They become your friends. They're like family members. They care about you. Everybody in this department will care about you and treat you like one of their own. And that's unlike anything you can ever get anywhere else. It's so unique.
This is our wonderful costume shop run by Anna, and this is where all costumes are made, costume practicums happen, and this is where all the costuming needs come to fruition.
If you're looking for a place that you constantly feel loved and supported by your classmates and your teachers, this is going to be the best place for you.
Thank you so much. If anyone is interested in learning more about the theater department, please head to our website. We also are on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Department of Theater. At this point, we are going to hand it over to our School of Music. Thank you.
I guess I'll start. I'm Alan Kashub. I'm the director of the School of Music and also an alum. I graduated, well, you don't want to know when I graduated, that's fine. But we have a program here of about 160 to 180 students. We have a graduate program that has about a dozen students in it. We have our building is Corthell Concert Hall, Corthell Hall, which you see behind Chris there. Classrooms, practice rooms, studios, our performance venue, small recital hall, Corthell Concert Hall is in there. It's where basically our students live from first thing in the morning until late at night. This semester, we're doing a sort of hybrid offering. All of our ensembles and our private lessons are face-to-face. But our classes like music history, music theory, a lot of our music education courses are fully online. And what that's allowed us to do is take some of our bigger classrooms and turn them into rehearsal spaces. With that said, the Maine's drought has actually been really great for us because we've been able to rehearse almost exclusively outside so far this semester. Above me right now, I can hear our musical theater students rehearsing their fall production. I always know when they're above me because they dance and, I can definitely hear that. That's sort of a little bit about our program. We have 3 main degrees: Bachelor of Music in Music Education, a Bachelor of Music in Performance, and a Bachelor of Arts, which is sort of a traditional liberal arts degree. And the biggest programs are probably the music education, followed by performance, and the BA is the smallest group of our students. Our music ed students are certified to teach K through 12 when they graduate from here, and they typically find themselves in jobs pretty quickly. In particular, this year has been pretty profitable for our students. There were a lot of retiring music teachers, but also a lot of districts have hired extra people to help deal with the complexities of rehearsing and performing music in the era of COVID. So it's been a good year for our last group of graduates. Our alumni can be found all over the place, everywhere from the Metropolitan Opera to the Philadelphia Orchestra to universities, schools all over the state of Maine and beyond. We have actually a large number of students who teach internationally, which we're very proud of. This weekend is actually our honors recital that was supposed to have been in the spring. And when I was preparing for it, I kind of looked at the plaque on the wall that has the former the former winners on it, and I integrated it into my curtain speech for it because it's actually pretty interesting. I mean, even beyond the music stuff, we have former honors recitalist who's a ophthalmologist, and one that's a psychologist that teaches at Stanford University, and one that's that co-founded a tech startup and sold it for millions. So music, and I think theater as well, basically all the arts are a wonderful career to get started on if you want to broaden your horizons, be able to think creatively, work well with others. You know, you learn incredibly valuable skills that are transferable to many other things. Just a couple of years ago, I played with my brass quintet the commencement address, the commencement music for the university's law school, and was surprised to see two of my former students getting their law degrees while I was there on stage. And so, you know, it really does, you know, the sky is the limit. So I would encourage anyone who's looking for a career in the arts to really resist the urge to, you know, be pragmatic about your choices. I think that a lot of times guidance counselors and teachers and people urge people to major in degrees that will lead you into finance or medicine or whatever it is. And I think that those things are all worthy pursuits. And but I don't think that majoring in the arts as an undergrad precludes you from pursuing those. They all require graduate degrees anyway. And the work you do as an undergraduate in the arts is very fulfilling. I, for one, and I'm sure all of these people that you see on the screen here who majored in the arts are grateful that they pursued that as a way of life. It truly is a gift that gives forever. I'll let Chris talk a little bit about what she does and her role in recruiting for the School of Music, and then I can come back and talk a little bit more too. So, Chris? Chris, you're muted.
Hi, I had it unmuted before. Now I come into it. My name's Chris Alden Kinney. I am the music recruitment person for the School of Music. I loved watching the video from theater because I spent many years in theater. I actually teach a class on the history of American musical theater. So I walk both pathways from Corthell right across the street over to Russell Hall, which is over my other shoulder. So if you see Corthell on one side, that's Russell Hall on the other. So Professor Kashoub mentioned that the audition process. The School of Music does have an audition process for all students coming into our program, whether they're minors or majors. All of those degree choices beyond the performance degree. Within the performance degree, there's musical theater, there's classical, there's jazz, there's composition. So there's a lot of choices and a lot of different options if you're looking at music. All of them do require this audition. The audition last year, we moved to an online platform. We did it before COVID hit, and we were so glad we had, because it gives us the opportunity to continue that audition process. Students will submit a video. The video needs to have about 7-10 minutes of prepared music in your area of expertise. Students who are music educators will also have on their decision day an interview with the director of music education. If someone is interested in composition, they'll present their portfolio to Dr. Daniel Sonnenberg, our compositions faculty. There's some auditions requirements to do some testing that will give us a sense about where you sit in your background in theory, perhaps, so that we know when you come to join us that we'll be placing you in the right place for theory coursework. It's a complicated, it seems complicated on the face of it, but once you really drill down into it and say, okay, I'm a singer, what do I have to prepare? All of that material is available to you on our website, because every area has a slightly different requirements about what they're asking. What you're going to see on that website for options, those are recommendations. It's not that you have to do one specific piece. It's of your choice. If you have been participating in the past in district festivals or in all-state competitions, it's going to be music material that's probably pretty close to what you did for those kinds of auditions. The faculty want to see what your technical expertise is on your instrument. And as much as we'd love to be doing it in person and having you arrive on the doorstep of Corthell to do that, this year we're going to be doing it all online. Alan, did you have some more that you had perhaps to share with that?
I would just say on the online front, we are typically, the School of Music has about 120 events a year. It's a very busy place. That includes things like student recitals, concerts, and theatrical productions, also our faculty concert series. And this year we've moved a lot of that stuff into basically online format. So we already had our first opening faculty concert, and I was able to tell the faculty today in our faculty meeting that if it had been in Corthell Hall, it would have sold out. We actually sold 170 tickets, and with people sharing screens, it probably would have exceeded the capacity of our room. So we're really thrilled about that, and I'm very proud of how it came out. Our recital class I attended this morning, students have been incredibly creative in how they've adapted to this. One student took his art songs that he was performing and turned them into music videos, which included actors throwing tomatoes at him and all kinds of really exciting things. So students are multi-tracking. There's all kinds of really cool stuff going on. This weekend, in fact, I would encourage you all to check out our honors recital at 8 o'clock on Saturday, and the live stream of our choral concert, which will take place outdoors on Sunday afternoon at 2, to get an idea of what we're doing with our masks on and our tents on and taking advantage of the good weather we've had. But I think it gives you a good sense of how we all work together here. Another thing I would just point out too is that the School of Music does offer free introductory lessons. So if you're thinking about coming to school with us and you'd like to meet who your primary teacher on your instrument will be, we can set up that free lesson for you. Again, this semester it will be on Zoom, but we've had very good luck with teaching private lessons on Zoom. So I think you'll really get a feel for who these people are. So I think, at that point here, I'd like to see if there are questions that people have about either program.
Absolutely, yeah. Fantastic information. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. The thing, I'm actually just going to put this in the chat to our attendees. It's the link to your audition info, which is on your website. I will put both the links for School of Music and also for the Department of Theater. So one question that we do typically get while people are formulating those questions out in the audience, one question that we often get in admissions is the ability to participate in music not as a major or minor. Alan, wondering if you or Chris could cover that, about what do the opportunities look like, and do they have to let you know at a certain time period? Are there auditions for that? Yeah.
Typically, well, the answer is yes. Most of the participation is through our largest ensembles, the University Concert Band, the University Orchestra, and the University Chorale. With that said, non-majors participate in a wide number of our ensembles, including chamber singers, audition-only groups. There are some very high-level performers that are here majoring in other things. Our youth ensembles actually provide a kind of a cool gateway for a lot of students who maybe aren't going to, either they are going to major in music or not major in music, but to come to USM and continue working with the faculty that they've gotten to know through our youth ensemble programs. So to do that, you would reach out to us in the summer and let us know that you were interested in this, and we would set you up with an audition the first week of classes. To decide what the best possible ensemble is for you. But honestly, there is an ensemble for basically everybody. I mean, there's even a version of our concert band that we use for music education majors where people can choose an instrument that they've never played before. So it's basically a beginning band. So if you wanted to, if you found yourself at a lawn sale and you found a trumpet and you decided that your life would be better with a trumpet, and I will agree with you on that front. I guess I can't really show my trumpet on screen sharing, but we'll let you, you would be able to be in that band too, which would be really kind of interesting. So there's opportunities for everyone and for theater as well. So I'll let them speak to that.
Absolutely. If you wanted to, Janice, if you wanted to kind of touch on whether or not students are able to participate in theater productions, regardless of whether or not they're in the program, what that looks like, maybe what the time commitment looks like too, that might be helpful.
Yeah, and please, anybody else from theater, feel free to hop in here. Yeah, so students who are not majors are welcome to audition for our main stage productions and also for performers at work. And in fact, a lot of the participants in performers at work are not necessarily theater majors. So we encourage people to participate in whatever capacity they want. If they want to explore their interest, we encourage you to audition. We encourage you to get involved in the shows in some capacity. And we have classes that are open to non-majors, but we like to stay as open as possible because we think what we do is pretty fun. So.
Awesome. So I know, Alan, you said that there's about anywhere between 160 to 180 students with a handful of graduate students in the School of Music. Janice, do you know how many students are in the Department of Theater currently?
There are currently about 50 majors, okay, and about 50 minors.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously with numbers like that, it really gives you a great opportunity for kind of a personal experience with professors and a lot of great opportunities to kind of have a great connection in terms of being in a sea of people with high stakes and tough auditions and things like that, it seems like. Next question we have is about internships and other opportunities that the students might be taking advantage of while they're doing their degree at USM. And then I know, Alan touched on companies and kind of, employment after USM, but I didn't know if Janice had anything to add in terms of, or anybody from the Department of Theater had anything to add about kind of post-graduation opportunities or even summer experiences. How do students in the arts kind of spend their summers and any notable things that might be helpful?
I can touch on that with regards to theater, and probably one of the reasons I can is because right across the door from my office is a jobs board that we keep up, and we regularly update within the School of Theater, or the Department of Theater, that shows not only summer stock opportunities, internship opportunities, but also the potential for work beyond graduation and what you may want to do. While there are no direct connections to any specific company, all of us in the Department of Theater have connections to industry professionals, whether that's at Ogunquit, whether that's at Maine State, and as well as the School of Music. And in other areas, me personally as a professional designer, I travel to Indiana every summer to work with a well-known summer stock company out there. So we have connections in different areas. There is no direct internship program. But even during the school year, we have within the theater department independent projects, independent studies that students can take advantage of if they're looking for credit on productions that are not directly on campus or directly with the university. And while we encourage students to take advantage of those opportunities, we always like to remind them that you are currently a student and to make sure that you're keeping up with your studies.
I would just say that of our musical theater students in particular, they've had very good success of participating with Maine State Music Theater, which has been a great connection with us. Ed Reichert, our music theater head of our program, has a great connection with Maine State, and we have over the years had many of our students, particularly in their, not necessarily in their internship programs, but in their being hired as locals. They've done a lot of the shows that have been children's shows related. There was, I think, a show last year, not this last summer. Last summer was completely off the boards, but in previous summers where probably 3/4 of the cast were USM students. So that's been a really good connection. I would also say that on the technical side, a number of USM students have been gainfully employed in local, by the local union, IATSE 114, which offers an opportunity to have some hands-on and in the industry. When the industry opens back up, we hope that that connection will continue.
One thing I would add to this too is I think that traditionally internship programs are a way to allow students to get real life experience that is outside of book learning and lecture hall learning. And it's important to understand that both the Department of Theater and the School of Music are busy arts presenters and are on the major calendar of the busiest arts area in Maine. So the School of Music, I like to say, is the most prolific music performing arts organization in southern Maine, probably all of Maine for that matter. we probably have more events than, certainly have more than the Portland Symphony or Portland Ovations and these other big things. And more isn't, but what I would say is one thing I think that's different about this kind of education is that it is very much hands-on. You are a member of a professional theater troupe when you're in the school of the Department of Theater, and you have professional expectations. You are presenting to ticket buyers when you're in the School of Music, and so that's very similar to an internship. The one other thing I would say is that in our music education program, there's obviously a very well-worn path of internships, observations, and of course student teaching that are all part of the official process. So
excellent. We just got a question come in about music therapy for undergraduate students. It seems like the student wishes to pursue both music therapy and music performance.
Yep.
And is that something that's possible?
It is. I mean, we don't offer music therapy as a degree here, but we probably have, I would say, 4 or 5 alumni. And this is, by the way, it's a relatively new thing in terms of what our alumni choose to do. And they've come out of basically I guess they've come out of all of our programs. Music education and the BA, to me, are probably, and maybe even the BA is probably the degree I would recommend the most for someone who wanted to pursue music therapy, just because there's a great deal of room outside of music to pursue a lot of the courses that you'll need to have before you enter a graduate program in music therapy. And those things would include things like psychology, human growth and development, and things like that are required before you begin a graduate program. But all of the students that we have who are practicing music therapists today attended a graduate program before they began that career.
I just fielded a question from a parent actually about this in the last week, and looking at, they supplied a listing of what another school had, and between our department and therapeutic recreation or psychology, that's the natural sort of connection within the BA to make that work. And it did line out point by point pretty much all of the coursework that was being offered at another institution. It's fairly unique that an undergraduate program is going to offer music therapy as a focus. It is more likely to be a hybrid at the undergraduate level and then certification after the fact with postgraduate work.
Absolutely, excellent. What's the availability of your practice spaces or rooms for students, maybe pre-COVID and maybe post-COVID or current COVID conditions?
It's funny, right now for practice rooms, we have this really elaborate system where the students sign in and then they sign out, so we know how long the rooms have aired out in between the students and everything. And I pick them up once or twice a week. I redo the sheets. In the building right now, it's just myself and Marty Lawson, our events manager. So we do a lot of that sort of work. But what I would say is I think we have 18 to 20 dedicated practice rooms. These are rooms that are not used for anything else. But then all of our classrooms, many of our rehearsal spaces and other things are available, you know, for practice in the off hours. Our students have ID cards that get them into Corthell from 7 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night every day of the week, including snow days, holidays, I guess everything but a power outage. You know, I have never in my 23 years at USM had a student complain to me that there were not enough practice spaces. And I would say that's something to be proud of, because the schools that I attended after here were not so lucky. So I feel like we're very well heeled in practice space for sure.
Excellent. Got a question about opportunities to go abroad. Do theater or musical students often pursue study abroad options? And if they do, how so maybe? And I know that even, you know, some of the ensembles have traveled abroad. We can talk about that too, but any sort of study abroad opportunities for either theater or music?
I'm happy to go first if you guys want. The answer is yes. So a few different ways our students travel. One way is through ensembles traveling. And most recently, our chamber singers went to Vietnam, but there have been trips to Europe in the past as well. We've had in the past a course that met in Europe. Many of our faculty actually go to Europe in the summer, and sometimes they'll put up a course that overlaps with what they're doing in Europe. And then we've had students do full semesters abroad. We work with the office here at USM that sets that up to make sure that the student takes coursework that they can transfer back here. We get it all worked out ahead of time. And that's another possible way. And I guess the final way we've done it, which I think is kind of revolutionary in a way, is I would say that almost every year one of our music education majors asks to student teach abroad. And what we do is that they get their observations done through, well, the way we're doing it now, basically. As a result, we've had a lot of people kind of decide to live out of the country at the beginning of their careers. So we have students teaching in Korea, in Sweden, Bahrain, Dubai, Russia. You know, so there are students who are, you know, basically did their student teaching in one country. We have one student who every time I look on Facebook, she's in a new country. I think she can't quite decide which one she likes best, but she's been all over the world, and I'm kind of jealous of her globe-trotting status. So it can be done. You know, I will say that you know, it takes some work on the part of the student. You got to really want it, and you have to kind of make it happen. That's what I would say.
And from the theater's end, we don't have any direct programs that tie into overseas companies or other programs. However, there is always an opportunity, and I believe it's through the Office of International Programs where typically study abroad gets started. We did have a student during this year that was supposed to be in South Korea doing study abroad. Unfortunately, due to COVID situation, she was unable to actually make it and fulfill that. But there's always an opportunity, and specifically within theater, we're always open to it and willing to assist however best we can for you to get whatever it is that you're looking for and whatever it is that you want out of it.
I like this question that just popped up.
I know, this is my favorite. And this is honestly this was what I was going to have you guys all answer anyway. What do you feel are some of the most unique features of your program? It's always the why USM question. So, we can pretty much, we can start with Alan and then we can go around. I think
Sure.
this is great.
I think, you know, from my perspective, some of the things that make it so unique here are we're relatively small and a very tight-knit community that all sort of live in this house, this big, you know, sort of Hogwarts castle all together. And I would actually include our neighbors across the street on this. I mean, I see theater faculty every week in some capacity or another. You know, I would say that even in the summers, I see every single music faculty member every week. You know, they are incredibly dedicated to students. There is no like, you know, it's summer, my contract's not on, so I'm out. You know, they're all here. They're all thinking, you know, thinking about students that are about to come in, or helping students who are earning their degrees. So I would say we're extremely responsive. We have a very tight-knit community. And I guess the other thing is how integrated we are with the community around us. I think that the location of USM in the sort of cultural center of Maine provides incredible opportunities for our students. I mean, as I said, I'm an alum. You know, I was 19 years old the first time I played with the Portland Symphony. You know, and that kind of experience was really, really good for me. So those kinds of experiences are all around us. Our students in recital class typically, and again, not this semester so much, but often they'll say, students will say, they give announcements at the end of recital class, and someone will say, you know, I'm playing at Blue this weekend from, you know, on Saturday from 7 to 9. Come by if you're of age. Or they might say, you know, I'm playing at Empire, or I'm playing at One Longfellow. So there are all these venues around town, and I've always said if you see live music in Portland, there's probably a USM connection. So.
Yeah, I think to back up what Alan is saying, I think one of the really amazing things about the theater program is its smallness. Its size really helps us get to know the students, and the students get to know us, and everybody gets involved in everything, which is incredibly useful when you go out into the workforce, to be able to have this whole tool belt of skills that you can bring there. And because the arts community in the greater Portland area is so vibrant and there's so much going on, even in the middle of a pandemic, there are lots of opportunities, and the barrier to entry is not quite so high. I think because it's a very open and welcoming theater community in general in this area. So it's easy for us to make connections and to help our students find a way to do what they love to do in this community. Yeah.
I just want to jump in on what Janice said about the size of the department. If you actually want a department where you are going to be able to be cast with some frequency and to have designer roles and things like that, you are going to be able to do more in your 4 years here than you will in, say, I came from the University of Illinois where I did my doctoral research, and that's a massive department, and you might get through as an acting major without ever being cast in a main stage show. And that's something to really consider, and to consider professionally, and if you want to go on to grad school.
I would just say that my daughter graduated from this program. She works, as she puts it, she works for the Mouse out in LA at the moment. But she had, you know, a background where, from USM, when she headed out to LA, she said, I don't know what it is I'm doing. But when she got there and she wound up being a casting director for commercial voiceover, she immediately said, you know, it was that oral interp class that I did. It was that participation in different aspects of the industry that she had honed here at USM in a space that was comfortable and safe and gave her the opportunities to do this on multiple platforms, where she might not, as Rachel says, in a larger institution, have those opportunities.
I also think, just to jump in real quick, one of the great things that you have working with the faculty, both in the School of Music as well as in the Department of Theaters, that we are all, for the most part, still working professionals, that we continue to hone our art and continue to present and continue to work in the industry, and that helps our students to see what it is professionally, how the professional world works, and how beyond graduation, they're already being exposed to how the professional industry is presented within the classroom themselves.
Awesome. I think that alone was great in answering that last question that we had about preparing graduates for students, or preparing students for graduation. It's Friday. So
I would say to all students too,
yeah.
I mean, in any of the arts, we do prepare you, but you are also preparing you for a career. These arts disciplines are disciplines. And what we do is set a stage, create an environment where the professional expectations are high. And it is not easy to be a person here who doesn't practice. And that's good. And you'll have days in any music or theater program where you cry bitter tears because you're so tired, and I will just tell you it's all worth it to just press on and push yourselves and improve. And that's the biggest thing. We give you lots of opportunities to audition and to push yourself and grow. Juries, all those things, they make you hard and strong. I remember the first time I walked out on stage and wasn't nervous, and I almost felt like I'd forgotten something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I walked out on stage and I was like, did I forget my mute? Like, what, and I realized, oh, I'm not nervous. And it was almost like I'd used it up. So we will give you plenty of opportunities to use up that nervousness while you're here.
That's awesome. All right, so at this point, I think we're going to wrap up our session, and the way that I always like to wrap it up is any final pieces of advice for students who are considering college, considering going through their college search process in a very unique time, and also considering the arts. Any final pieces of advice that we can provide students?
I keep going first, but I'll go ahead and go first. For music students, number one, make sure that your music teacher in your school knows that you're auditioning for music school. It's incredibly important. They know what the requirements are. They can help you choose literature for your auditions that will show you in your best light. They will help you prepare things like sight singing and clapping rhythms and things that you'll be asked at any institution where you audition. So make sure you don't do this on your own. Work with a teacher to help prepare you for that.
I think the one thing I can say, and now is probably the best example, the time that we're living in, is how important the arts are in the world that we are currently in. And if you have even a small inclination that the arts might be where you want to go, but you question whether it is something that has an impact in the world or it has an impact on others, just look around you today and you can see how important it is to have arts in our lives, and that there is a place for you, and to remember that we are here to help you get to where you want to be in that.
Fantastic. Excellent. So I do want to let people know that, and this is a sneak peek of what's happening in admissions, but we are going to be restarting campus tours on an appointment-only basis. So if you're interested in seeing the Gorham or Portland campuses, Gorham is where our Department of Theater and our School of Music is housed. We are going to be offering some outside-only by appointment campus tours. So if you haven't visited campus, but you are interested in doing so, we will start taking appointments this week into next week. And so that's awesome. Super excited to get that started again. But feel free to reach out to our departments. I will follow up with participants. This is recorded, so we will be able to post this, and you can come back to this should you have any questions or want to hear us again. But I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to my colleagues here at the University of Southern Maine, and we will see you next time. Have a great rest of your day.